Oh, welcome to the Rebel Tribe podcast. Today we're talking about career pivots and reinvention because if there's one thing that I know for sure, it's that very few of us end up where we thought we would. And sometimes that's by choice, and sometimes life kind of makes that decision for us. I've got three women with me today who each come at this from a completely different angle. Tiffany Curtis is 44 and in the middle of starting over, building a life rooted in creativity, healing, and honesty after more than 20 years in the corporate world. Chairty Wimbley is a master esthetician and med spa lead at Inspire Wellness here in Arkansas, working hands on in an industry that's all about transformation, inside and out. And Shona Burton is a recruiter, entrepreneur, and workforce strategist with over 10 years of experience helping people navigate careers, position themselves, and figure out what's next. So, between the three of them, we've got real life experience with pivoting, starting over, and figuring it out as you go. So, let's take a look at about what that actually looks like. Welcome, ladies.
Thank
Welcome.
you. Thank you.
Okay, well, let us start simple right at the very beginning. Was there a moment when you realized that what you were doing just just wasn't it anymore? It just didn't fit. Let's start with Tiffany.
Yeah. So, as you said during the intro, I'd spent almost 20 plus years in corporate America. And although I was successful, I often felt like a duck out of water. And so I'd been thinking about other paths to take. And then ultimately, my body made the decision for me. So, in August, I had a spinal fusion surgery, and that really forced me to look at my long term values professionally and personally. So,
Charity,
Mhm.
what about you?
Yeah, for me, I was also, Tiffany, it's funny, I was in corporate America for like 25 years, worked in Walmart, suppliers, that whole thing, but mine wasn't a conscious decision. There wasn't like a light bulb moment. It was like, oh, I want to get out of this. Like I was really good at what I did. I loved what I did. But my position was eliminated, like it does often, in that world. But I wasn't worried because that wasn't the first time. I was like, oh, I'll have a job in 2 weeks. And then 2 months later, I had one interview, no, nothing. Like I had put like 60 applications out there and I was like, what is happening? Never had issues. So when my corporate job vanished, no, there was nothing that was there. So I was forced to pause. And I realized that I had been chasing security, in work that really did drain me. But I would have never changed because I made too much money, right? I mean, that's that's where I was at, if I'm really honest. And so I asked my husband, I was like, I don't know what I'm gonna do. Like, I've done everything, I've exhausted all efforts, and I don't know like where we're at, where we're now draining our savings, right? And so he was like, well, what do you want to do? And it took me a minute to figure out like what do I actually want to do? I hadn't stopped long enough to even think about what I wanted to do. This is just the life that I was living. And so I was like, I want to do skincare. I want to make people feel pretty, right? So that was kind of my moment where I was like, okay, we're gonna go out on this adventure and I have no idea like what's gonna happen. So that's kind of where I came from.
And Shauna, you kind of are coming at it from both sides because you're in that career field as it is with career changes but you're also an entrepreneur yourself. So what about you?
Yes. Well, I'm going to tell you what made my decision was COVID. Uh, During COVID, I was working in a corporate position, and the unrealistic expectations of a lot of things that were happening through COVID. And I was sitting here going like, you know what? If I'm going to go through this, I could go through this as a business for myself.
Mhm.
And that's what started my exploration because again, I was chasing safety at the same time. I looked at what I was looking at what I was doing, but I wasn't truly fulfilled. And I noticed that every time I did side projects or did stuff for friends and family, uh, I got the fulfillment that I need. So that's why right now I'm in that transition once things take off, corporate will go bye-bye and I'll be doing it full time on my own. So that's what that's the beautiful thing about transformation is you can transition whatever you have done into something that is creative, productive, and you can actually enjoy life, that work-life
Mhm.
balance.
So, what was the hardest part of leaving what you knew, especially for you, Charity, because you didn't make a conscious choice? It was just kind of
Yeah,
in
for
your
me,
lap.
it was kind of like, whoa, that's gone. Having to let go of that predictable paycheck was really tough for me. And the title, honestly, um, it was real kind of a gut punch. That part was, but really the actual gut punch was, what if I fail at this too? What if this just goes away too? Or what if I can't get this off the ground? I didn't have that security of being able to change a position or apply for another position within the company. It's like it's all on me now. So I think that was the hardest part. I built my identity around being a reliable, excuse me, a reliable corporate pro. So stepping into this unknown meant like grieving that version of me. And then, quite honestly, like faith had to carry me through because I had no idea like what was going to happen. And so, not knowing, having to kind of like, trust that whatever is supposed to happen, instead of me controlling the narrative, which I had always done. I think that was the hardest part.
What about you, Tiffany? Was it financial, identity, confidence,
I
something
mean,
else?
I would say all of the above, but for me, the hardest challenge has been so what I would call a recovering perfectionist. So coming from the corporate world, my performance was always pretty clear for the most part. My evals, my ability to, yeah, earn more, move up in different positions within the company. And then whenever you start your own endeavors, friends and family are very loud at first. They cheer a lot, and then that kind of slowly drifts into a little bit more ambient, quiet noise. And so I'm looking for these indicators that, yeah, that I'm doing well, that I'm doing the right thing. Whether that's POS sales or in terms of my podcast, listens. And so I've really had to redefine what does success look like to me. So it's not always what you're achieving, but what is something I'm proud of?
Mhm.
And it could be something as I did something that meant something to me and I put out quality work. Um, or it could be something as, I actually took time to focus and spend time with my child when they got home from school.
Mhm.
So that's been kind of the biggest thing is just redefining what does success and, feeling proud of myself look like in the moment.
Mhm.
Shauna, what about you? When you're working with women who are making that career transition, do you see them going through that kind of like an identity crisis or
Yes, absolutely. Because here's the thing. We have tied our identity to our work, to our family, because we wear many hats, especially as women, we wear many hats. So letting go of what a key part of you is like instead of a part of you transforming into something different, sometimes we have to grieve that loss because we're looking at the stable paycheck that provides for everything for the home. We're looking at so many things that, especially identity. Mine was identity. They knew me as LaShawna as the escalation rep. I had great stats. They know I was I was the dependable one on the team. And when I started transitioning from that, and even in recruiting, they know they're blowing up my phone now saying, hey, we need you. And the people are like, oh, yeah, you're a recruiter. So those identity changes is really what the main thing, because once you start putting intention into your transformation, I guarantee you disruption, grieving a little bit of your life, grieving the previous life, financial, all that starts coming up, and you have to learn how to navigate it.
Mhm.
was there ever a point where you thought that you might have just made a huge mistake, Tiffany?
Uh,
Oh yeah,
yeah, like, I mean, probably once a week, I still kind of have a little bit of a crisis. Like, what am I doing? But But honestly, I'm so much happier. And I just have to remember, in terms of podcast, most people quit before 50 episodes. So, again, I just focus on making quality things and realize that just because there might be an audience or uh, distribution gap at first, it doesn't mean there's something innately wrong with me or I'm doing anything wrong.
Mm.
So I think having to rebuild my confidence in a different way, kind of after this identity crisis, as these beautiful ladies have put, I think everybody kind of goes through that. And again, that's where doing work that ties back to your values and what makes you happy keeps you going when you have those moments of doubt.
Mm-hmm.
What about you, Shona?
Oh, absolutely. I can at least once a week you're gonna have that because I think once you look at all the six, I'm a booker. I'm a book person, so I can tell you every book I've read. I'll sit there saying, "Well, you should be at this point at this time," and I'm like, no, I'm not. Maybe this is not working." And then I have to say this is when I go into my faith, and then I start seeing signs why this is all working. So I think any time through those times, you find out what's working. If it's better quality of life, mine was also more autonomy in my job and everything else. So when I started looking and seeing the good outweighing the bad, then I was like, okay, I can make it another day, and I get up and get my Starbucks.
Chairty?
Oh yes, for sure. It's probably like 6 months in, when client bookings start to slow down, like she said, friends and family just kind of start to, fade off a little bit. I stare at my certificates on the wall and I'm wondering, did I trade should I have fought more? What could I have done differently? You go back to like, what if I did this or what if I did this? Did I trade this, the stability for this dream that might be too fragile? You go all through these mindset shifts and self-doubt and all of that. But at the end of the day, we're here for a reason. We got here for a reason. And this is where we're at. We can't go back and change things. They are the way that they are because it's how they were supposed to be in my personal, mindset. That's what helps me. I had to trust that this passion that's like being cultivated in me wasn't a mistake. And, it's really just growing pains. So there's definitely moments of doubt, sometimes daily, sometimes it's once a month when the bills are rolling through and you're like, oh gosh, we have only this much left in the bank account, we just squeaked by, another month. But you just have to stick with it, stick with it, stay in there and squish those thoughts of doubt and just put one foot in front of the other. Keep going, keep making another podcast, right? Keep talking about the things that you're passionate about.
I sometimes think that women in particular, people romanticize reinvention. I mean, come on, we hear all the rah-rah speeches when we go to our meetings and things about how I started out and then I found my passion and it changed my life. And
Yeah.
we all know it doesn't actually happen that way.
Yeah.
Does it actually look like behind the scenes? Let's start with Shona.
Well, behind the scenes is first of all, it's not linear, and I think that's what gets us all because especially if all of us been in corporate, we see there's a structure. This is the structure I'm going to follow. Okay, you kind of know your next goal or your next achievement. When you start transitioning to entrepreneurship, it's like I got the speech, I got to motivate, like yeah, and the next thing I knew, but and behind all that, it is basically a web. It's not going to say a web. It's basically if you ever done embroidery, like you see this pretty design on the front, but when you flip that thing over, you see all the strings. You see where the person don't cut, restarted, and that's what it actually looks like. So we have to keep the end in mind, and that's what helps a lot. Keeping that end in mind, because I used to do embroidery, needlepoint a lot. So you're looking at the picture and you see it start coming together. Then you try to start getting into the groove. But behind the scenes, that's exactly what it looks like.
What about you, Chairty?
For sure. Every day looks different. So if you slow it down, For me personally, I might have an empty week, or maybe I just have like 1 or 2 days that have 4 or 5 clients. And so, like she said, in corporate, you're there Monday through Friday, 8 to 5. You're busy. You have a structure. You have what you're supposed to do. So if Monday comes around and I don't have any clients that day, then my mind shift has to be, okay, what can I do today? Just because I'm not in the treatment room doesn't mean that I can't do something that's going to progress, whether it is going and doing content, or studying skincare science, or trial and error, calling a friend and be like, hey, you want to be a guinea pig today? I have this new chemical peel that I want to try out. It's really just keep going. Like, even though it could be discouraging that, my books aren't full for that specific week, there are still things that we can do. And it's just no glamour. It's just kind of like consistent small steps that is going to push you just a little bit further. And then sometimes I've gotten, where you're a recovering perfectionist. And so you're used to that corporate mindset where it's like, go, go, go. If I'm not busy, I'm not productive. And shifting that mindset has been really interesting, where some days you don't have clients because you need to rest. Just go sit in the grass somewhere, go touch grass, and just breathe in some sunlight, so it's just that mind shift set, behind the scenes of, okay, what am I supposed to do today that's going to either further the business or take care of myself. So
Tiffany, it looks like you're contagious. We have another recovering perfectionist already.
true.
What does it look like for you?
I think that's common with a lot of women. In the beginning, I thought, like, did I have a midlife crisis? But now I like to just think of it as a midlife alignment, kind of realigning my purpose. But the thing about when you don't have the structure of a corporate job, and even though for part of that I worked from home, due to COVID, I was still pretty busy all the time. And I stay busy, but I spend a lot more time with myself, which is good and bad. Because again, you're trying to quiet those voices of doubt that pop up in your head. And so it can be messy and discouraging and emotional. And then there can also be a lot of highs when you do accomplish something or make a really meaningful connection with somebody. If you had 10 people in life that came up to you and gave you a compliment, you would be over the moon. But I think in the world of social media, it's really easy to get caught up on, oh, I haven't grown my follower count, or, I haven't, again, going back to the numbers, and you just kind of have to train yourself to not focus on that. And like Chairty said, have faith that you're enough, that the work you're doing is enough, and that, you'll find your tribe. So
what did you have to let go of? I mean, I'm thinking back to my own journey, and it was quite a bit. So what did you have to let go of? And not just externally, but internally, what did you have to let go of to make the shift? Chairty?
Externally for me was the corporate environment, that corporate ladder, the networking events, the friendships that you build based off of, that environment that you're in. You rub elbows with all kinds of different people on different economic positions. And then internally was that perfectionism, that need for others' approval, that structure that made me feel safe and content. I've released that script of, the success equals the title and the salary, and embraced instead this sort of slower rhythm that's tied to purpose. And which is very strange whenever you're used to that fast track. That inner surrender, though, freed me to have the freedom to steward the gifts that I have in aesthetics. Like, I truly see gifts that I didn't even know that I had, that was not being cultivated in that other environment. And that's even though you had to let go of things internally, things fill up those voids, those spaces that you kind of let go of, that are even more fulfilling.
What about you, Shona?
Mine was fear. I had to let go of the fear because I can tell you all of my friends has been pushing me towards this moment where I'm at now. Because they were always telling me, well, you have creative ideas. And I'm like, okay, that's great. We all in it. I'm noticing how as we get older and how many people go through, I got all the stats about people over 40, if I'm over 40, how success going to look like here, there, everywhere. And mine was just fear getting out there. And once I started working on that primary thing, it just seemed like everything else started to opening up. And I started seeing myself as the entrepreneur, not just as one, and it kind of like expanded my thoughts and my own identity.
Tiffany?
I had to actually let the old version of me die in a sense. So, when I was in the corporate world, I had to do a lot of masking to kind of fit into the role of what I was in and needed to perform to, or based on what the boss that I had at the time expected. And so that was a bit of an adjustment. Authenticity doesn't always feel comfortable at first because you've spent so many years trying to fit into a narrative that maybe always wasn't congruent of who you felt like as your inner self. But once you kind of get through those growing pains, it's very freeing. I can wake up and put on what I want to wear. Today I have a dress on where it has a unicorn body and a mermaid tail. Like I guess I could have worn that to corporate, but then I would have been, self-conscious. People were judging me all day. So.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my goodness. Ladies, raise your hands if you've been there, right? Where the ability to suddenly be yourself feels so freeing and yet so
Foreign.
uncomfortable.
Yeah, so
Yes.
foreign. Yes.
I definitely raised my hand because I had to learn that, and I had to learn that early. Like what I consider, even though I know dress code, I know how to do this, that, and the other, but to the ability to be myself, oh, that is pretty much one of the main reasons why I started making the transition, because when you're in corporate and your hair was brown on Monday and you decide to change your hair black on Tuesday, and I'm sitting here and I'm like, oh, I see you changed your color, or mine was like just hairstyles in general. And I'm just sitting there going like, this is a wig. Just let me be. Just let me be. Y'all know
Right.
I changed. Y'all know I changed my hair up like what I feel like on Wednesday. Because Wednesday it might be all the way down my back. Friday you actually might see me in my natural hair, and you're still trying to figure it out. Like that was the one thing. So for me, I am excited about that because I can put, like I said, I can change my hair up no matter how I want it. I didn't have to be in what I call the corporate uniform.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And how much of this is tied to identity? I mean, like who we've been or who we've pretended to be for years
Mm-hmm.
versus who we're becoming now. Tiffany?
I mean, I think a lot of that becomes who you are. Specifically for me, I mean, I started out in college as an artist. I was a theater major. And then, like a lot of people, you realize, well, one, you need money, which is important. And so, it wasn't really intentional, but I just kind of fell into the corporate world at that time. And again, I was making money, and, that was my identity for a long time. I didn't get married until I was 34. I didn't have my child till I was 38. So my career was a big part of who I was for a very long time. And even though I'm passionate about the projects I do now, I'm intentional to remember that this is not who I am as a person. Even if something fails, it does not mean that I fail.
Mm-hmm.
It's just something I'm doing.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Chairty?
Yes. Yeah. I mean, we've spent for women, I think, well, I can only speak for, myself, but we've poured years into roles, like she was saying, defining us as achievers or boss babes, or we were I mean, I'm 44, so like I went through that era. Right now it's kind of cool not to be like the boss babe, but like 10 years ago, 20 years ago, like it was really pushed, that you get out there, you achieve all the things, you can do all the things, you can have this corporate job and this title, and you can also take kids to soccer, and you can also have dinner ready by 7, like all of these hats that we had to kind of wear. And I mean, for me, I started out, I didn't even go to college. I went straight into the workforce and worked for a little company, and then went into Walmart corporate at 19. And so I didn't even know who I was. I mean, as far as like what my desires truly were, it was being shaped and formed by the environment that I was in. So I thought and believed that's who I was. I didn't feel like I was masking. But whenever you get away from that environment, and you're not being exposed or formed, into these personalities, really, because you have to switch. Like I switched a lot depending on the group that you were in. I mean, I had had to go to dinners with people that had houses in the Hamptons for summer, like summer homes in the Hamptons. Like I grew up in a trailer house that had holes in the floor, you know what I mean? But I mask to be able to fit into this role, you know what I mean? And so they never knew that. They just thought that I had grown up in the same kind of environment that they're used to. So for me, I didn't even realize I was masking. I didn't even realize that wasn't who I was or my identity. So my pivot meant redefining that corporate cog personality that I had to truly who I am at my core, away from that. But I had to get away from that to even identify her, to even know who she was. And it's so refreshing where you can take off that heaviness, that mask, that and be able to connect to people that you truly want to and need to connect to, that you can pour into, they can pour into you, and you can appreciate all of the different colors that we have in our world.
Shauna?
Oh, I get it. See, first of all, I want to blame Barbie for all this because I realized Barbie had about 400 jobs during her corporate career. So, I mean, she went from NASA to the Malibu Playhouse. She was a teacher. She became a doctor. I don't know what time Barbie had to sleep. And I'm just sitting there. So I think that's what it is. And also, if I go back old school, like it was this perfume we used to call Charlie, and she would come
Mhm.
in with the corporate suit saying, I'm in the kitchen. I brought home the bacon and I'm frying it in
Uh-huh.
the pan. And we're doing all this. And that shaped us as a
Yeah.
nation of women. And so as we started going through especially corporate, you start going through that, you're like, you still have that, you have identified with this source, and this source has been the mental frame that you've had, and then when it's time to leave that, you're sitting there going like, do I have to, can I keep it, can we just
Yeah.
transition? And I think that's what's important, because what I realized that a lot of women after 45, only like 11% actually do the change. We'll all sit there around coffee, talk about what we like, we don't like, and we put it in the back burner.
Mhm.
But here's the best thing about that: like after you make that change, 82% of women will actually be more successful because they committed to the transformation and the reinvention. So when we hear those cliches, there's life after this number and life after that change. It really is, and it just shows us how we expand our identity.
Mhm.
So, for someone who's sitting out there right now, knowing that they do need a change, but they're feeling kind of stuck, what's the first real step? Tiffany.
I think the first real step is just really sitting down and being honest with yourself. Everybody always says, do what makes you happy. And that sounds so great in theory. And sometimes a little bit of figuring out what will make you happy is just kind of throwing darts at a dartboard and waiting to see which one sticks a little bit. So start trying things, start pushing yourself to get out there and try new experiences, meet new people. I think that's where you gain the confidence and experience to move into more purpose driven things. Um, and value yourself, value your time, value everything you've done up until this point brought you to where you are. And I think sometimes we take that lightly. We don't cheer for ourselves enough how much we've accomplished or overcame, and be loud. Say, you know what? I'm awesome. I know that sounds simple, but I mean, I think that's really the step, because you've got to build the confidence and you've got to build the experience. So I think by just trying things and having that confidence in yourself, that's what will carry you through to, I think, where you're meant to be. And sometimes the universe makes that decision for us, but
Yeah.
hopefully you can start moving in that direction before it happens.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Shona? First real step. Oops, we lost her.
Did we lose her?
Yep.
I'll fill in
Can't hear
until
you,
she
girl.
gets back.
Can't hear you.
Okay, wait
There
here.
we go.
I would say, for me, I said awareness. Awareness is your first step, and realize that in this awareness, that your seasons are not going to be 30 days to a new you. It means your seasons may take years for you to get to one step of your process, but always keep moving. If you're sitting there in your awareness and go straight to intention, just make one step and then make two steps. And if you have to sit down a minute after you did the first two, get up after a while when you feel comfortable most, and make every step intentional to becoming where you want to go next.
30 days to a new you. We've never heard that before, have we? And it
Oh
works every
my.
time, doesn't it?
Every time.
I mean, by the way, I used to do customer service for all the beach body products. So yeah, 30 days to a
Mhm.
new you. Where you get those, and you see them, and you'll get those beautiful abs. Or my favorite, yoga booty ballet. Just 30 days with yoga booty ballet, you will see those glutes tightening, and you'll see a brand new you coming out.
Charity, what about you? What's the first real step?
First real step is just to breathe. Just breathe and pray, and then name one thing that you love. Just take a second with yourself. Just sit with yourself for a minute and name one thing that you love, no matter how small it is. And then test it with just a single action, like a free consultation or a free online course, just to dabble in it a little bit and see if that is your passion. Um, and then don't be afraid to be like, no, that really wasn't it. And just try different things. Like Tiffany said, just dabble in what you feel is your passion and then test it out in little tiny ways. And then like for me, enrolling in aesthetics training while amid the job hunt, I didn't even abandon the possibility of me going back into corporate. I just took a tiny step, just kind of like added that to it. So I was still looking for jobs, still interviewing, still submitting resumes, because I didn't believe I was done yet. I was like, I can't just change careers completely. I'm just going to do this so I can make a little extra money for fun on the side. So sometimes that tiny step, maybe it doesn't even feel like it's a step towards something. It's just kind of a step to the side, maybe. And then for me, as I went along, and I didn't wait for perfect clarity of what I was supposed to be doing or what it would look like even after I graduated. But it was just, okay, I want to do this, and I want to at least explore this little area. And now, after I've graduated, I've opened my own business. I'm now partnering with a nurse practitioner where we're growing in different areas. I'm seeing now, like looking back, how my growth has happened without me even really being conscious about a huge plan up before me. It's literally taking one step at a time. And even now, today, I'm going to go talk to admissions at NWAC and then a place in Springdale about starting an LPN program, because now I'm seeing that once I have my clients and I'm doing facials and I'm doing these things, I could actually help clients more if I could prescribe retinol to them, and we can charge their insurance with that, instead of charging them $60 for a bottle. So now I'm like, well, what other ways can I explore to be better? So it's not necessarily that you have to have a 5-year plan. Just see what your passion is right now, like today. What makes you happy today, or what sparks that little spark, and then take a little step towards that. Take a little online course or read a book about it or something. Just open up to it.
So what do people overthink when it comes to making a pivot? Tiffany?
I think they just overthink being sure. And that's the thing. No matter what you do in life, you can never be 100% confident in anything, or there's no guarantees that it's going to work out or that it will work out forever. And so I think we look for signs that this is the right path, that this will lead to security. And again, I think you just have to stop and ask yourself, what are the consequences though if I don't do this? And sometimes those are greater than the risk of, that security that you're looking for. So,
What about you, Chairty?
I think the logistics of it, having to have a plan. Like, I've got to know what I'm supposed to be doing at step 1 and at step 10. Your resume gaps, income dips. What will they think? I think is sometimes the narrative in our mind. We kind of obsess over risks while underestimating our resilience and the doors that the universe or God opens unexpectedly for us if we take that first little step. So focus less on the how, I think, and more on the why. And passion will sustain you through those pivot points.
Shona, I know you've had some experience with this.
Oh, yeah. Mine has always been perception, because your family have one perception of you, your friends have one perception of you. And again, you're navigating that and you want to build your confidence. And that's actually one of positioning and your perception are one of are two of the things that actually kind of blocks your ability to execute. And once you realize that doesn't matter, because you have to even go back to your I was once a secretary and now I've moved here. So you're gonna always find your way starting over. And you have to once you uh, put those two things behind you, and not necessarily they do come up in cycles sometimes, but as you build your confidence more and you start realizing that the aha moment start hitting you, then you realize, okay, this is the path where I'm exactly where I need to be. And that starts building your confidence to execute and scale your business even more.
So it sounds like we all have a whole list of things that we all kind of agree we maybe gave a little more attention to than we should have when we made our, but what actually matters more than people realize when we're starting over? Chairty?
Your why, for sure. Your inner circle, people that are closest to you, shield those things that you're not quite sure of, that feel a little vulnerable. Shield them from outside influence. And maybe only share them with people that will agree with you or cheer your growth on, agree in the path of change with you, not your old path. And also grace for that non-linear journey. In my role, specifically my esthetician role, it's still evolving. There are still things that I want to do and see potential in. So I think what matters more is just not getting into that silo of You have to have it planned. You have to have all the steps, in place. Just remember the why. Whenever you're getting kind of all crazy in your mind, go back to the why, go back to the beginning, and protect your peace, and your faith, and because that's what truly fuels the reinvention. That encouragement, that it's almost like the oxygen to the flame, um, is that peace.
Shauna?
I have to agree. Keep maintaining that peace, and sometimes you got to shield your dream like a baby. You got to be very protective who you entrust with it. And again, understanding timing, because some seasons may be just a planning season for one product line or something you want to do,
Yeah.
and you realize what season that you're in your life, because we all go. People fail to realize at certain age groups we're going to always go through some type of reinvention. It's just that when you switch from where we are into a career transition, that's like a loud billboard for some people. And they're all looking, and you're like,
Yeah.
why are you looking at me? This is you don't switch jobs like 10 times in the last 5 years. And but the idea that you're taking control is, I think that's what most people look and they see, and you're worried about the execution of that. So you just have to rely again. I'm gonna go back. Rely on your faith. Rely on who you need to be your support system.
Hmm.
I would tell people right now, your support system may not be your family. Don't, because they'll be the ones, because they are so used to identifying you as one person. They'll be the ones that try to talk you out of every 5 minutes.
Hmm.
But start surrounding and start networking with people that's in your same lane of transfer
Yeah.
of transitioning, because then you have an unofficial support team, and it kind of, and when you'll feed that synergy, you'll feed off of people. Or you'll feed
Hmm.
off of each other.
Yes.
Tiffany?
I would say one thing is don't undervalue the impact that your pivot is having positively on other women. So, my best friend, for example, sent me a text this morning of a product that she's working on. So she tried candle making a few years ago and then had stopped, but she's gotten back into it. And she was telling me that seeing what I'm doing motivated her to do it some more. So
Wow.
sometimes following your own passion, you can influence and inspire other people. And then I would say the other thing is, um, don't focus on the silence, but authentic connection. The big things that have moved my businesses forward have not been what we're told, which is, you got to be doing the algorithms right, and you have to have a million followers
Yeah.
and a viral video to be
Yeah.
successful. But they're just small, meaningful connections that I've made with other people. And so I think that's where having confidence to be vulnerable and just put yourself out there. And what's the worst? Someone can say no. I
Yeah.
mean, like we've already
Yeah.
heard that before. So, um, yeah.
Viral video. Have any of us ever had a viral video?
I
I
would
got
say not
close.
yet.
I got really, really
Not
close. I don't
yet.
know if it's considered viral, but I'll have to look and see how many views it has now. It's like had over like 1 million views.
That's pretty close. That's
Yeah.
pretty close. I might give you that one.
Hmm. It was
Ladies, or
literally, I was at my mom's house, and she has this room. It's like we call it the upper room, and it's just one like kind of like an attic room. It has a little window. I was up there working, and her best friend had came, and they were going thrifting, and it was the cutest thing. So I recorded them leaving, she pulled up and they were leaving together, and they have been through everything, divorces, childbirth, like literally everything. And it was just kind of like had this fun little song. Is like, come on girl, we're going to Helping Hands or something like that, after you've been together for so many years, going through everything. It was just a simple cute, it had nothing to do with nothing, but it was just a simple cute little video.
so
Pretty
my
fun.
lady's over 40, because I know there's at least two of you. Shauna, have you joined us at that age bracket yet?
I'm about to hit 50. I'm 49.
You are not. Are you really?
Yes, I am. I turned 49 March 1st.
Okay. Well, never been.
Wow.
Well, then you can join this conversation too, because it's a little different. I mean, I started when I was, well, I started the podcast when I was in my 60s.
Wow.
So let's talk about doing this after 40 as a more, I hate that. I hate all the terms that they call us. Let's just say a more seasoned. Let's just say seasoned. We're a little more seasoned. What's different about reinventing yourself at this stage of life?
Actually, I think it's better because I was a hot mess in my 20s. and, and I'm just going to be honest. I felt like I was a hot mess in my 20s. 30s is when I was stabling out. And I finally figured out around, in the 40s, I started figuring out that nothing mattered when it happened in my 20s and 30s really just didn't matter. So I think as you, then I realized everybody had this unrealistic timetable in my head about you should do this at this age, this at that age. And I feel like I'm the me that I could trust me with anybody else now. And I think that's when we get to that realization of, you know what, I can trust this process. I trust me with the process. And that is what I feel like you're more successful at this age because you're finally realizing, I'm taking care of quite a few things in my life. I can do this. It's no big deal.
Tiffany, what about you?
I think after 40, we're more equipped to advocate for our wants and needs. I think sometimes that's tough during your youth because sometimes it's more important to be liked or accepted, like I kind of talked about earlier, than authentic. And once you get past that, it's really freeing. And I hear a lot of women talking about the I don't care club. I think your tolerance for things that aren't important go down a lot kind of at that midlife point. And you also realize that we can't do it all. You're told that from a very young age. And, you're sold the Disney movie that, you get married and everything's easy and works out perfectly. So I think it's a lot easier to accept things and align your values. My house perpetually has laundry on my table. And I would have been like ashamed of that before, that I was a failure as a homemaker while working 50 plus hours and raising a child and keeping 3 dogs and all my plants alive. And then now I'm just like, you know what? I can do something for myself today or work on my business, or I can obsess over laundry as long as it gets put away at some point, we're all right. So
Yes, for sure.
What about you, Charity?
I think reinventing yourself in your 40s isn't about starting over. It doesn't look like what midlife crisis kind of has been portrayed in the movies or whatever. It's not about you starting over from the bottom. It's you building from a deeper, more wise place with everything you've already lived through and you've already learned. So you're clearer on what you will and you won't tolerate. And even though the stakes feel higher, like with money or time or family, you're also more equipped than I think you ever have been. I can't imagine reinventing yourself any earlier than 40. You don't have enough experience to reinvent, and so it's not just like a job change. It's like a soul level shift into who you were always meant to be. But you didn't have enough experience yet to build on that foundation. So the beautiful part is that your why is sharper now, your boundaries are stronger, and the next chapter can be the most aligned and most like faith-filled and life-giving one that you've had yet.
I like that. Yeah, I like that a lot. We can just end right here now because that kind of summed it all up. Okay, we're good. Can't possibly know what you want to be until you've been all the other things.
Yes.
And discovered that none of those fit.
Yeah.
I know when I came, because I gave about I gave like a third of my life to the military. So coming and then came here, okay, which was totally, totally different from any place I'd ever been. And it was hard.
Yeah.
It was a big adjustment. And there were those days when I was like, oh my gosh, what have I done? Okay. Number one, what have I done coming here where
Yeah.
there's like no market for my job skills?
Mm.
How do you trust yourself again when you're stepping into something completely new? Because we all know when you tell your family and your friends, I'm going to start my own business, and they all kind of give you that, you're going to what?
Yeah.
How do you trust yourself when you've got the little setbacks and the bumps in the road and you're wondering, man, were they right? What am I doing? Is this just a bad idea? What the heck? How do you get past that, Tiffany?
I think we all have this intuition, or as I like to call knowing, that we start out with. And when you're a child, we're very in tune with that. And then I
Yeah.
think as we get older, there's noise telling us what we should be, what we should think. And so it gets clouded. So, I mean, the simplest thing is just really getting back to the root of what feels right. And I don't necessarily feels easy, because it's not gonna, just always feel easy at first. Um, but just trusting that gut instinct that says, this isn't right for me anymore. And this is. I think we know ourselves enough to have that, that faith to make that leap. And like Chairty was talking about, is just taking that first step and trusting that there's going to be solid ground on the other side. So.
What about you, Charity?
Yeah, I think that like Tiffany was saying, innately I've always had this trust, this feeling, and I don't know how to really put into words, but when you experience it and you know what it is. Like it's almost like, oh, it's like a breath of fresh air, like I have to do this. So there's like this innate feeling that just won't let go of the idea, almost like a quiet nudge in my spirit that keeps like coming back. And I've learned to trust it by testing it. So for me personally, I pray about it first and then I check it against like God's character and my values specifically. And then I take one step into that direction and then watch for the fruit of it. And then the inner pull leads me. I know that it's right because it leads to peace and growth and alignment. And you look for little things that are happening that, oh, that's aligning and that's aligning and that's aligning. So it's almost like confirmations. There's not chaos or confusion. If it feels too pressuring or too quick or too pushy, that in personally, I feel that and I'm like, oh, that's not the direction I need to go. It shows me it's something that I can lean into. Did I go away for a second? My husband tried to call. Oh,
Oh,
am I
yeah.
still here? Okay, sorry. My husband tried to call. I was like, no, go away. But anyways, it's that inner pull that leads to peace and growth and alignment, not chaos or confusion. It shows me it's something that I can lean into, even if I'm scared or unsure. You don't have to know. You're not going to know. You're not going to know, oh, this is for sure going to work out. But it's for sure going to lead to something that's going to work out, whether it's a lesson of what not to do, or it's a tool that you can put in your toolbox that you might not use right now, but you might have to use it later on. So over time, every time I honor that gut knowing or that innate feeling, it turns out to be right. It becomes more evidence that God has wired me with this intuition that I can actually trust. And you can trust yourself. Give yourself permission to trust yourself. If you've been through something traumatic or just take it, you just build your trust like you would build trust with someone else. Tiny little steps. Just put something out that maybe doesn't have if it fails, it's not going to matter that much. But if it doesn't, then you have something that you can lean into and say, I trusted myself on this. I can trust myself. And again, nothing is really failures. It's lessons learned or tools that we need that we'll need later on in life.
Shauna?
I have to agree. She said everything I was going to say, so I'm gonna piggyback on it. It's knowing the intuition and the Holy Spirit. Those are gonna be my guidance everywhere. When I know, when my knower is knowing, I
Mm-hmm.
feel like I have like a surge of confidence. Okay, I'm gonna do this.
Yep.
When my knower is not knowing, I go search in prayer, and
Yep.
if it's not, and prayer and a life coach, because sometimes I need somebody, because I'm
Yeah.
a talker. So sometimes I need to talk it out, and sometimes I'll go find one of my friends that have a life coach or a Christian counselor. Like, hey, help me see what I'm supposed to see. And then that kind of really helps me know that I'm on the right track. But I'm with her. Everything is a lesson. So no matter what, I'm still not, I can trust myself because I'm going to trust myself. I'm going to be the one that tells the story after this lesson
Yeah.
and use whatever I learned in this lesson. It's going to be an application. I'm going to apply it to the next circumstance. So it kind of takes out that kind of say, okay, that builds your trust in yourself and your ability to to okay, now I can trust myself because I've been through this before and I can use what I learned in that lesson.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so let's each of you share a few words of wisdom. If you could sit across from a woman right now who knows she's meant for something different or something more, but hasn't made that move yet, what would you say to her? Charity.
Oh my. um, gosh, I would just, what would I say to her? There's so much to say. I think I would look her in the eyes and say that you're not behind. You're not, it's not too late. You're not broken. You didn't miss the opportunities. You're not in a rush. You don't have to rush. You're not running out of time. You're not running out of resources. You have time. You have resources. That mindset that we kind of go, it's a fear route. Um, you're just at the edge of a new chapter that you can't see yet. Um, you don't have to burn your whole life down tomorrow. You don't have to take all the drastic steps. Just take one honest, brave step towards what's tugging at your heart. Pay attention to what brings you peace and not just what looks impressive. Remember, I would tell you that just remember that God is not shocked by our desires for more. He is the one that put those desires there. So you're allowed to outgrow the old versions of yourself and just slow down. You don't have to rush. I think that's
Oh,
what
I
I tell her.
absolutely love that. I do, because so many of us have been taught that wanting more is somehow wrong.
Yes.
Not.
Yeah.
It's okay to want more. It really is. It's okay.
Yes. Yes. For
Shauna, what
sure.
about you?
Mine, I'm gonna say go for it because if you don't know, that's gonna eat you up more. Not knowing what you could have done without going for it. That's me. It's like if you want the word content is not me. We all sometimes I think people exchange content with settled for.
Mm,
And you shouldn't settle. If you have that knowing, you can research it. You'll know what steps is going to be the next thing. So go for it. Start your journey because that journey might it's going to automatically influence your life and expand your life in so many ways. Even if you stay where you are, at least you thought about it. At least you took that intention to explore.
That's awesome. I actually
mm.
have that little, it's like, I guess it's like a little meme or something I saw online. I printed it out. I've got it actually hanging in my office. It says, life is hard, but you know what's harder is regret. I love that. So,
Oh, that's
yes.
good.
Tiffany, what about you?
I would say one, don't waste your time on regret. It's so easy to say, what about all these years I spent doing X? There's a quote I'm going to paraphrase, but it's from Maya Angelou that's like, forgive yourself for what you didn't know until
Mm,
you learned it.
hmm.
Um, and so I think that's a big thing. There's no use wasting time or energy on that. And then also, kind of like Charity was saying, it's not too late. There's so many people who achieve things later in life. Look at Wally Funk. She originally wanted to go into space and was told she couldn't because she was a woman, and she persisted, and she finally went at the age of 80. 80. Colonel Sanders didn't make KFC, and look how successful that's been until he was like 75. So, whenever you have doubt that, you're past your prime or you can't do these things, just remember people do amazing things all the time. You just have to have faith in yourself.
Yep. If you're still breathing, that's proof God is not done with
Yes.
you yet. So
True story.
figure out what you're supposed to be doing and go do it.
Mm-hmm.
I've loved this. This has been one of those conversations that it just reminds you that there's no one right way to do this. And I should know because I've been doing this for a long time and I've always been told, you got to do this and you got to do that. And none of it felt right. And when I finally said, you know what, I'm going to do things my way, thank you, it was just different and better. Reinvention doesn't look the same for anyone.
Yes.
Sometimes
True.
it's that big, bold leap. Some of the ladies took big, bold leaps. Some of them took it because they had no choice. Okay. Some of them took
Mm-hmm.
it because it just felt like it was times. But sometimes it's a little slower and a little, I don't want to say messier, but sometimes it is. And sometimes you just figure it out one step at a time.
Mm-hmm.
But what all of this really comes down to is this: you are allowed to change. It's okay to want more. You're allowed to outgrow what used to fit. You're allowed to want something different. And you're allowed to build a life that actually works for who you are, not who you were 10 or
Mm-hmm.
20 years ago. You can build life on your own terms. So if you've been feeling that nudge, that something's got to change feeling, maybe this is your sign to start listening to it. So thank you, Tiffany and Chairty and Shona, for sharing your stories and being honest about what this really looks like. And if you were just inspired by any of the ladies, I will put their contact information in the show notes so you can reach out to them. And to everyone listening, you're not stuck. You're just in the middle of your next chapter.